10 wounded warfighters.
After I was injured, I became injured, and that was my title. And for me, that was very, very hard experience. And to some extent, I still have to deal with that in day-to-day life.
When the blast happened, I just remember initially thinking, oh wow, this is it, here we go, we're getting blown up. Let's see what happens.
19 days to reach the summit of one of the highest peaks in the Himalayas.
My normal is definitely different from someone else's normal.
I haven't changed at all, really. I'm still Steve. The way I think and the things I love doing, like all the things I've been doing since my injury, are things I've always wanted to do or have done before. So, no, I haven't really changed at all. I just can't see.
And one great adventure where the only thing anyone has to prove is that they have the heart to try.
I always saw myself as having a great military career. Once I joined the military and made that dedication, I really felt that I'd do my 20 and really enjoy my career while I was there. I definitely was a workaholic and loved my job. Being a canine handler, especially as a female, was just an amazing experience for me.
I'm not counting really, I'm trying to get past the pain. I need to be counting, I guess.
Breathing.
Fast forward until today, and I'm definitely not where I expected myself to be. Being injured took a big toll on me, and I think more than anything else, just my identity, who I was, how I looked at myself. After I was injured, I became injured, and that was my title. For me, that was very, very hard experience, and to some extent, I still have to deal with that in day-to-day life. I spent, 3 years in a wheelchair, and that title of being injured came pretty easily.
It's a title Nicolette Maroulis fought hard to lose. The list of her injuries was long: TBI, PTSD, hearing loss, nerve damage to her legs and back, lumbar joint damage, damage to both shoulders, including a torn labrum. Recovery was a path fraught with challenges and the need for understanding.
Squeeze in. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And relax. And again. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And relax.
I know how hard things are for me. And in my day-to-day life, I try very hard to cover that up so other people don't see that. At the same time, when there's times I can't do things, I kind of look at people like, hey, why can't you just understand, that I'm not able to do this? And so in a lot of ways, it's a contradiction that I'm here expecting them to understand what my abilities are when I try so very hard to cover up anywhere that I am lacking.
I want you to push into my shoulder. Push, 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 push. And relax.
I made a game plan on once I can get into physical therapy. What am I going to do in order to heal myself and in order to be better than I am laying in the hospital bed?
Keep all your weight on the good leg. Good. And then that starts to wiggle them out.
You're trying to kill me on camera.
No, I'm not, I promise.
And when I started doing sports, I constantly looked back to, well, what was I able to do before I was injured? And the gift that's come from that is I've done a lot of things I never tried before I was injured. And that allows me to have new norms and new standards that I can work towards beating or blowing away.
Oh, we gotta go to the Himalayas. We gotta get those legs stronger. Let's go.
I'm going to climb Mount Lovache, and that's so exciting to me to be able to go out and climb a mountain with other injured vets, and we'll be able to have that camaraderie and be able to cheer each other on and help each other out in difficult times. And at the same time, at the end of of that climb. I can add yet another tag to my name, and you know, it's just a really exciting adventure.
First things first, when you put crampons on your feet, you got to figure out how to walk all over again. So as you're starting to experiment and see what your crampers can do for you, keep a few of these little techniques in mind, right?
I think my main focus for this is lots of pulling movements for my arms, doing lots and lots of pulling, and just building my legs and trying to get them as strong as possible right now.
Oh dear Lord! Are you kidding? Oh my gosh!
Do my usual flip tires and pull sleds and you know, my Olympic lifts that I love so much. There are a few occasions where I do look back, and it's not very often. I wonder what good I could have done if I just wasn't injured and was able to stay in and was able to be finishing my 10th tour by now or something like that. Do you want help? For me, it's a little sense of loss that I'm not out there doing something, fighting for our country. At the same time, I'm hoping that good can come out of what I've done, you know, and what I'm going to do.
Really appreciate everything.
Freaking awesome.
I can just cry. Oh my God.
Don't cry, don't cry. You're awesome. I'm very proud of my service, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I love having these other things that I am too. So when people look at who is Nicolette Maroulis, I hope that they think, you know, I'm a cross-country hand cyclist, I'm a mountain climber, I'm a surfer, I'm a wife. I hope that they don't just think of me as an injured vet. Here's your 20.
In December of 2006, we were running a convoy in northern Iraq from Tikrit back up to Q West, which is just south of Mosul, and my truck hit an anti-tank mine. The force of the blast shattered my heel bone and it broke my femur. Surgery on my femur to sort of reset everything, and then a surgery on my heel bone, and that surgery on my foot was 8 hours and 15 minutes long. It was, I mean, these rocks down here could give you a pretty good example of about what the inside of my heel looked like. I mean, it was just little pieces. The surgeon found that the infection had destroyed a lot of the small bone fragments in my heel. The two most feasible options out of a list were either rebuilding the heel bone with chunks of cadaver bone or amputation. My first thought is, why the hell would I chop my foot off? You know, that makes no sense.
Former Army Staff Sergeant and avid mountain climber Chad Jukes was caught between a rock and a hard place. After being injured in an IED blast while serving in Iraq, a post-surgical infection presented a choice he thought he would never have to make.
I realized that if I had my heel rebuilt, you know, sure, there was a chance that I might have a miraculous, remarkable recovery. It was highly unlikely. Chances were, more than likely, I would be going through surgery after surgery after surgery for at least 2 years. I would be in pain for the rest of my life after that. I would probably never be able to run. Whereas 6 months after my amputation, I was in Washington, D.C. running the Army 10-miler. So I ultimately did make the decision that I'd rather be an amputee than a cripple.
But climbing one of the world's tallest peaks with an artificial limb is not without its own set of risks.
So you getting ready for the trip?
Yeah, it's close. Everything comes at a price, but there is a point where that price becomes too high. And you know what? I like the body parts that I have. I don't want to lose anything else. If I think that it's getting dangerous, I'm going to turn around. If I think that I'm going to lose some of my stump, I'm going to turn around. I like my fingers and my toes. Further down would be a good idea.
Yeah, I think even just with one of the thicknesses, maybe not both thicknesses.
Yeah, I really want to help to try and ensure that possibilities like this are open to disabled veterans coming home, people with disabilities in general. I really want to help make sure people are aware that they can get out and do stuff like this.
I didn't really have any expectations when I came in. You know, it was just something that I always knew that I was going to do and go through, and, you know, going overseas is just part of that. You know, you have your good things, you have your bad things, and when it's over there, it's just, things are so simple. You eat, you sleep, you go to work. You know exactly, you know, who to watch out for. You know exactly who's going to get your back. You don't have to worry about everything else that goes on here.
You okay? Starting to burn a little bit?
Yeah, probably, maybe a little bit less somewhere. You know, my first deployment, I came back and I thought I was perfectly fine. You know, there were some signs that I wasn't, but, you know, I just kind of tacked it up to, oh, you know, they're just habits that I need to break. And then my second deployment, I came back, was fine. And then my third deployment, everything kind of fell apart on me.
So go ahead and grab those. All right, back up a little bit more.
With PTSD, you know, which I've been diagnosed with, there's something that physically changes in your brain that almost kind of gets you used to those feelings of stress, those feelings of fear, you know, those split-second reactions. And then you come back here and it's going from 100 miles to 0, and you don't react well. I do these extreme sports, you know, the kayaking, the biking, the mountain climbing, because it brings that back for me. You know, it gives me that feeling again, and it's the only time I feel normal.
Remember that knee, make sure the knee doesn't go in front of the toe. Good, walk back. One more, give me one more. Pace it. One, remember your form.
You know, the fact is, you know, I stay in my room 90% of the time. I go grocery shopping at 3 o'clock in the morning because I can't handle crowds. I don't leave post unless I have to. I don't leave my room unless I'm going to an appointment. When you're overseas, they become your family. You know, sometimes more than your own family does. You may like them, you may dislike them, but it doesn't matter. You know, if someone goes after them, you got their back no matter what. And doing these sports, you know, it allows me to do things individually, but at the same time, you know, there are people that, you know, you get that same sensation with. You know, you go through things that suck, you go through things that are difficult, and then you get to sit there after there and talk about it all, and talk about, you know, the bad swims you had, or the bad crash you had, or how much this, you know, workout sucked, and you bond over that, as crazy as that sounds.
So which way are we going?
You swing around there and you come up that ridge.
For Ashley Crandall, climbing Le Boucher was not just about reaching the summit. It was about getting answers to questions, answers that might come from others on the trail.
How is that? Swelling?
Yeah, so you can look at it. It's all swollen. It's like right around here where I had a 0 swollen. Had a lot of pain. But other than that, hell, I made it up here, so I'm happy.
You know, I haven't accepted my altered lifestyle. I'm still struggling every day with, what am I going to do? You know, am I going to be able to go to school? Am I going to be able to work? What am I going to be like as a civilian? How am I going to adapt? And I'm hoping, you know, by accomplishing this, it'll help me figure out how to accomplish other things. And then by being with these people, you know, I'll learn from them how to figure it all out and just accept it. Part of fixing myself is helping to figure out a way to fix others. And you know, I just really want people to see this and to realize that there's a way to feel normal again. You know, even if it's only for a day or two. My normal is definitely different from someone else's normal.
I thought infantry, you know, the grunts, guys who work on the front lines would be what, you know, what I'd love to do. But we were on a mission on May 13th, 2008, to an area just north of Baghdad called Taji. When the blast went off and it was on our right side, it threw a shape charge. I was hit with shrapnel in my head, my neck, my arms and legs. Very small, superheated metal, and I mean, they hit me all over. I got peppered actually. One piece went right through my temple and blew out, ruptured my right eye like taking a razor to your eye, scrambled my sinuses and ruptured my left eye. So I lost pretty much all my vision immediately, and I was knocked unconscious for so many seconds. When I woke up, I knew something went wrong and I knew I was injured. But some of the things my father told me before I left, like he made me promise him, Steve, if you go and you come back a different person, you promise me that you'll live your life to the fullest. Don't look back, just drive forward as hard as you can. And that stayed with me.
Steve Vasquez may have lost his ability to see, but he did not lose his sense of discovery. Choosing to climb Le Boucher was simply replacing one goal with another.
I just don't want to, like if there's a ledge or something, I don't want to bump my head.
Right. No, that's...
Being blind, I can't look up, so.
Yeah.
But I usually feel for my hold, so. Yeah. There's so many different things driving me and fueling my spirit to do something like this. I think I'm challenging myself because I wasn't able to do some of the challenges in the military.
Yep, there's your next good hold. Yep, you got a little bit of a lip there, so.
I noticed that. That's why I wanted the helmet.
In addition to his blindness, Steve was dealing with a myriad of physical challenges that most will never experience. The shrapnel to his head left him with no sense of smell or perception of light, and a constant ringing in his right ear. Although he broke his right arm, he also lost the use of fine motor skills in his left, which means he can't hold on to gear with his left hand, but rather pushes up using his forearm. His legs also took shrapnel, leaving slight nerve damage on his right side. But for Steve, it's his past that keeps him looking toward the future.
Okay, that's your finish hold right there.
Okay.
All right?
You want me to just go up? You want me to go up more? Or?
You can if you want. Do a full stand on it. There you go. All right.
All right.
I got you.
Ready to come down?
Yep, I got you. So go ahead, just sit back and let go.
I miss everything. You know, just colors, faces. That's probably one of the most things, you know, I think about. You know, I mean, I haven't seen my wife, you know, ever before, you know, and my brothers and sisters. And just my dad and mom and, you know, everybody, you know. I mean, I miss just being able to stare off, you know, and just daydream, you know, about something, you know, you're staring at. That's why I like climbing on the mountains, because I remember how pretty, you know, and how beautiful it was, you know, to stare up at them. They're just so massive, they're so big. Because I had seen for 22 plus years, like using a Rolodex, I can pull those memories, those pictures that I've saved in my head. I'll make that picture. This is way heavier than I need to train with. I don't need to train with something this heavy. I look back on everything that happened that day, and but I don't dwell on it. And I think that's the key, is not to dwell on something so traumatic, so life-changing. You really need to look for that path that you were on, or blaze a new path with your new life, because you can't change something like what's happened to me.
Keep those toes out, lighten up. Are you switching holsters? You want to use that strap to tie down?
I haven't changed at all, really. I'm still Steve. Actually, the way I think and the things I love doing, all the things I've been doing since my injury, are things I've always wanted to do or have done before. So, no, I haven't really changed at all. I just can't see.
And this is fine if you want to let go with that hand. That's okay. Because you're not going to go anywhere, because this has you clipped in. If you fall, you're only going to fall.
Yeah, but likelihood, I'm never going to let go of this hand. I mean, that's a little freaky.
You might need two hands, though, to make this happen.
Man, I don't know what exactly this is, what the meaning is, but this is just phenomenal.
The team began the journey in the Nepalese capital of Kathmandu before jumping a short flight to Lukla, ground zero for the start of their trek to Lobushe.
You know, I'm going to 20,000 feet. You know, I know that I'm going into this with a deficit, and I'm trying to push myself to that point where it's not going to matter. You know, I don't want to hold anyone back. You know, I know people are going to try to help me, and I don't want to have to need their help. You know, I'd rather be able to do it on my own so that they can focus on what they're doing.
It's starting. I'm
Looking
excited.
forward to the crazy flight.
Yeah, absolutely. Rolling off the plane.
And so tell me how it was this morning and yesterday, organizing all the equipment and gear, and now it's finally departing. How do you guys, how was it?
It was a little hectic, but you know, I'm excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to getting going. So it's kind of been a lot of lead up, and now it's finally here.
So when you wake up in the morning, if you feel really rough, it's a sign that your body's been struggling overnight and might struggle again during that day. So it's important to listen to your body and also be honest with the other people that are around you about how you're feeling.
You're probably missing that smell, but it's nice. Steps, we got a little metal grate to go over, kind of like training tool here.
Good job, Steve. Here we go.
A couple steps down. Good.
What I want to accomplish here is getting all your gear in front of you, laying it out, making sure it all jives, it all fits, and just to remind you that you're going to be putting crampons on in the middle of the night at 4 o'clock in the morning. You're going to be cold, it's going to be windy, you're probably going to be a little bit tired. So I want you to be able to work with these things right now. Put them on, take them off, put them on, take them off, put them on, take them off.
You just need to get enough slack to unclip that and then take it off. So you want to undo the carabiner, unclip it. Scheiße. And this is fine if you want to let go with that hand. That's okay. Because you're not going to go anywhere, because this has you clipped in. If you fall, you're only going to fall.
Yeah, but likelihood, I'm never going to let go of this hand. I mean, that's a little freaky.
You might need two hands, though, to make this happen.
We've all been talking about that we didn't really in August. Now, and your arm is straight.
Right here.
After almost 10 days of trekking to high camp, the expedition had the summit in sight.
said you were gonna do it.
Of course. I never doubted that I'd make it here. Never. I just doubted if my team would suffer because I'm slow. But luckily, I made it here. It wasn't the last, so I'm good with that.
Oh yeah, long night, long day. There was definitely some trials, you know. A lot of people had a hard time, but you know, there was a lot of dedication. A lot of people kept on pushing, and here we are now.
You said some in the tank, please,
Yeah.
Some left?
Yeah, I'll make it down. Come on now. I won't do that to my team.
Yeah. You still look pretty.
You're so silly.
Good job.
Pretty worn out.
Solid, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Legit, right?
Not at all what I was expecting.
Harder than you thought?
Way harder. In ways that I wasn't expecting. I thought it would be mostly mental, and it actually became more physical for me than mental.
What'd you have rolling around in your head the whole time? Survival or?
Just one step.
Yeah.
One step, one step, one step.
Yeah.
Not let my team down.
An author once said, "Focus on the journey, not the destination." For the wounded warriors who conquered Le Boucher, this journey has taken them from the depths of their worst days on the battlefield to the heights of their own personal summit.
You did great.
Grab the pack.
I got a hug too. Damn impressive. Damn impressive.
That was awesome.